Okay, guys. So today we're going to do another practice on calculating speed, time, and distance using the equations that we learned about. And there are a set of steps that we use to solve these equations. Okay? There's a step one, step two, step three, and step four. So step one is going to be to choose which equation to use for a problem. Okay? And we'll choose from these equations. If we're looking for speed, or v, we're going to use the equation v equals d over t, the distance divided by time. If we're looking for time, we're going to use the t equation, which is t equals d over v. This could be a slash, I suppose, d over v. V stands in for speed for now. Later on, we're going to call it velocity. They're a little bit different, but the equation is the same. And then distance equals v times t, or vt. So those are the equations we're going to choose from. All right? Let me fix this. This is making me kind of not okay. D over v. So problem number one tells us a football field is about 100 meters long. If it takes a person 20 seconds to run its length, how fast or at what speed will they run? This tells us right here very explicitly what speed. It tells us we're going to use our speed equation. So step one is to look for the question. We can find the question by finding the question mark. If we find this question mark, we will find the question, and if we know the question, we know what equation to use. We're going to use our speed equation. That's this one right here. V equals v over t, distance over time. Speed equals distance divided by time. Step two, I want to do step two in a different color here, just to make it clear. Step two is to rewrite this equation, except for we're going to take values from the problem, and we're going to put them in our equation. It's important that we put them in the right place. So step two is not just find the amounts, like 100 meters in 20 seconds, but to put them in the right place, okay? So we need to put distance on top. The distance is going to be 100 meters. It's this number here. D over, and then the time is going to be this amount here. We're going to put that on the bottom. I wrote D, I meant to write 100. Time is 20 seconds. Okay. Step three is going to be to solve this equation. Sometimes we call it step four, but the next step is to solve this equation, and that's going to give us 5. Now, on the quiz, when you get the quiz, most often you will be asked to find this on the quiz. I want to know that you guys can find the correct equation for finding this. All right? Later on in this physical science class, and actually later on in this unit, you will need to find this number here to actually find the correct answer on your quizzes. But right now, what I'm checking for is you can use, I'm going to find even another color here. I want to know that you guys can use the correct equation and put the amounts in the right places on the equation. Okay, that's what we're focused on. So those are our steps for solving the equation. Step one, just doing a bunch of undos here so we can get back to. Step one is to use the correct equation. Step two, we're going to rewrite it with the amounts from the problem. Okay, we use the correct amounts. Step three, again, is solve. Right? In some problems, we're going to have to start over. Once we solve this, we're going to go back to the word problem, and we're going to solve for a different question mark here, okay? We'll get into that as we see. All right. Let's scroll down. We'll look at problem number 2. Problem number 2 Yeah, different color. Problem number 2 says pitcher's mound is 85 meters from the plate. Takes 5 seconds for a pitch to get there. How fast is the pitch? It's asking how fast. That tells us what we're looking for. We're going to go back to our equations. We're going to find which equation gives us fast. Okay? That's going to be our speed equation. Again, our equation is going to be V equals E over P. Step 1 is done. Step 2 is to go back and rewrite this equation, but we're going to pull values from the word problem and put it in here. Okay? Did you need something? Okay. You look like you had something to say. So right here is seconds. So that's going to be my T down here. I'm going to put that down there if I want 5. It goes at the bottom because T goes at the bottom here. And then 85 meters. That is an amount of distance. 85 over 5. Again, on the quiz, if you've done this much, you can find the correct answer on the quiz. Okay? I just want to see that you can put the values from the problem in the right place into the right equation. And I can see that by building the right multiple choice questions. But you may be asked to solve this to use that answer for a new problem. So you're going to have to do that anyway. And it's a good idea because it lets you check your work. V equals, if I punch this into a calculator, which I did this morning, and I actually remember something from earlier.
You sure about that?
85 divided by 5 gives me 17. 17 what? Well, 17 speed. So we need to find a unit of speed, and we can look at our problem for that. We've got meters here. We've got seconds here. This is going to be meters per second.
They're not paying a bit of attention.
That's okay.
Move your chat. All the way.
You can move it all the way.
Look underneath it. Oh.
Yeah,
And not
That's
a single one of them said anything.
that's okay. That's okay. This is they can go view this lecture later if they find that they don't like their quiz score. They can always fix their mistakes. They should pay attention. If they don't want to pay attention, they can pay attention later. They can get the grade later. All right. Problem number 3 gives us a new question. If you notice that, clear all this out of the way so I'm not thinking about it. Scroll down a little bit. Problem number 3 gives us a new question. It asks us, how far will you go? So if you drive 100 kilometers for 6 hours, 100 kilometers an hour for 6 hours, how far will you go? How far is my question? How far? Well, to find out how far something travels, using the equations I've given you, you just use the D equation. Distance equals velocity times time interval, or the amount of time that it travels. Okay? That's step 1. Step 1 is to identify the question. Step 2 is to rewrite the equation using data from the problem. Okay? So velocity was 100 kilometers per hour, right? So 100 times. Anytime you have two variables together, it means times. It's the same thing. E equals 100 times, and then we're going to find the t value, the time, 6 hours. Okay. The next step is going to be to solve that, so D equals 600. 600 what? Well, kilometers per hour and hours together is going to give us kilometers. Okay. Problem number 4, it gives us yet another question. It says if I run at this speed for 15 minutes, how far will I go? Ooh, but I have a hint question here. It says how many seconds is 15 minutes? So it wants to know, first of all, it wants to ask how far will I go? This is a distance problem. D equals V times T, or VT. And we rewrite that again. D equals, well, velocity is 12. I didn't like how I wrote that. Times, well, what's the time? Can I just use 15 minutes here? Well, no, I can't because I'm talking about meters per second. So I need to take 15 minutes and turn it into seconds. Well, there are 60 seconds in each minute, so 15 times 60. All right. Earlier today, I punched this in a calculator, and if I remember correctly, 15 minutes is 10,800 seconds. I'm going to check that though, because I'm not sure I'm remembering that correctly. Yep, 10,800 seconds. So 12 times 10,800. And this is what we have to do on our work. Again, on the quiz, you'll look for 12 times 10,800. And if you don't know how to do that long form with a pencil on a piece of paper, that's fine. That's not what I'm testing here as a science teacher. I want to know that you can set this problem up. And here it is. This is going to be your option on the quiz and on the test. But we should go ahead and punch this in a calculator so that we know that our answer makes sense. Distance equals, I should be doing color here, D equals 129,600 meters. I did something wrong. 12 meters per second for 15 minutes. 12 meters per second times 10,800 seconds. That's 129,000 meters. That's a lot of meters. Mr. Wayne, you're a mathematician. What am I doing?
What do you mean?
Is that the distance I'd have? I feel like I did something wrong. Didn't I get a different answer this morning?
15 minutes times 60 for the seconds.
Gives me 10,800. Maybe not. Nope.
900.
900.
Okay.
Okay.
Way too big.
I got mixed up from a problem earlier today, and I wasn't thinking about it. So we're going to back up here. That's what messed me up. Thanks, Mr. Wayne. 900. Okay. 15 minutes, 15 times 60 is not 10,800. 15 times 60 is 900. That's what I get for trusting the first thing that popped up on my calculator. Okay? And 12 times 900 is going to give me D equals 10,800. Sorry.
That's it.
I got ahead of myself there. Well, I'm glad I checked it. I'm glad I went ahead and solved it, and I realized that that number was so ridiculously high that I did something wrong. That saved me from getting the answer wrong on my test. Okay? That saved me from putting the wrong number here. Okay? So the distance equals 10,800, which is a reasonable amount of meters for someone to run in 15 minutes if they're Superman. That's actually, it's like, well, that's a 10K. It's almost 11K in 15 minutes. That would be like world record speeds. That's not the point. Not the point. All right. So that's how we would find distance. Sometimes we have to do a little math to get where we're going. I'm going to do one more, and then from there, we're just going to figure out which equation to use and figure out where our values go in that, okay? Every summer I drive to Michigan. I don't know why I would ever want to do that. Go Buckeyes. It's 3,900 kilometers to get there. If I go 100 kilometers per hour, how much time will I spend driving? How much time will I spend driving? I'm probably going to solve for time. Okay? How much time, T, will I spend driving? So T equals distance divided by the speed. So how far I'm going divided by how fast I'm moving. we rewrite that again. T equals, well, how far am I going? I'm going 3,900 kilometers. Divide that by my velocity, which is 100 kilometers per hour. This gives me a time of 39. And kilometers per hour divided by kilometer gives me hours. 39 hours to drive to Michigan. Remember, step one is here. We're going to select the correct equation. Step two is here. Putting that data from the problem into the equation. And then the last step, step three, is to solve that equation. 39 hours is a reasonable amount of hours. If I had done the math and instead, flip-flopped these, 100 and 3,900, I would have ended up with, 1/39, which is 0.02564. Is that how many hours? 0.02564 hours for me to drive all the way to Michigan? Well, 0.0256 hours is like 4 minutes to drive to Michigan or something. That's a ridiculously small amount of time for me to drive all the way to Michigan. So no, that's not reasonable. I think it's more like 7. Still, that's not enough time. So we need to do our steps. We need to put things in the right place. We can't flip-flop these. It matters. I remember earlier when we were doing Newton's law, someone said, yeah, but doesn't the big number always go on top? No, the correct number goes up top. The distance goes up top. Okay? So that's really important. Right? So on these next problems, what I want to do is I want to look and see if we are just using the correct equation. All right? If we can use the correct equation, then we'll talk about what goes where. So in problem number 6, it says, how long will it take the bullet to go? How long will it take? How long? How long? Maybe one of you guys wants to volunteer in the chat here. In the chat, how long tells us which equation we should use. Which equation should we use on problem number 6? I'll wait here while you guys answer me. Okay, Elijah says the pi. Cody says division. What I'm asking you here is, what am I trying to find? I'm trying to find out how much speed, distance, or time. Which one am I looking for? Time. Elijah says time. Yeah, how long means time, right? So we use our t equation. Okay? We go to the top of the page, or we go to our notes and we see t equals d over v, distance over speed. Time equals the distance divided by the speed. How far am I driving? I'm driving all the way to Florida. Well, that's my distance, right? How fast am I going to drive? I'm going to go 100 miles an hour. That's my speed. That'll tell me how far I'm going, okay? Or sorry, how long it'll take me to get there. So t equals d over v. We're going to take the distance, right? We'll take the distance. That's here. We're going to bring it over here. We're going to take the speed, and it's going to go in here. Right? And then we're going to punch it in the calculator. We can move on. Question 7. Every winter I fly back home from Michigan. It takes 5 hours. What is my average speed? Well, to know that, to know that, I need to go back up to the earlier problem where it says flying home from Michigan, that's 3,900 kilometers. Okay? We already have that. It took 39 hours to get there because I drove. It takes 5 hours to fly back. So what's my average speed flying, right? What is my average speed? Which equation do I need to use to find this one? What's it asking me for? In the chat, go ahead and tell me, what equation am I going to use to find average speed here? Come on, guys, participate. It's asking for my average speed. I need to use, of course, division, but I need to know which equation to use. Come on, Ryan, Summer, Maya, Javante, help me out here. What equation do I use for speed? For speed, I use my V equation.
Mine's not any better.
V means speed for now. Later it will mean velocity. We talked about this. V equals D over T. That's the equation I use because V means speed. V equals D over T. So then I can just take these amounts from my problem, okay? The distance from Michigan, remember we pulled that from the earlier problem, that's 3,900. Time, it comes from right here, right? So this one goes up here. This one goes down here. And that's how we sort that out. 3,900 over 5. Okay. Problem number 8 says blah, 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 blah. How far? So step 1 is to decide which equation to use. If it's asking how far, that's an amount of distance. So we're going to use our distance formula. D equals VT. And how far tells us D. Okay. And then again, we're just going to grab amounts from the problem, right? Velocity, 500 kilometers per hour. Okay. The time, that's 3 hours. It is right there. This is a mess on my page, so I'm going to clean some stuff up here. Time. Right here. Makes sense? All right. Problem number 9 says, how fast does the Earth rotate? How fast? That's going to be a V equation. Okay? V equals D over T. We're going to find the distance. That's this one. You pick the color, so this makes sense. This is the distance. We're going to divide that by the time. That's 24 hours. Okay? 21,000 over 24. That's how we solve those, guys. Remember to follow your steps. Okay? Step 1 is going to be to select the correct equation. Select the correct equation. All right? Is it asking for speed? Is it asking for time? Is it asking for distance? It's really that simple. Step 2 is we take the information and we put it in the correct place. How fast? So what speed? So we're going to take that. We're going to go 100 meters. It's the distance. 20 seconds is the time. We're just going to punch the things in the equation. We'll be able to figure out this physics. Okay? You will always have these notes available to you in this class. You will always be able to look and see which equations you could use. So from there, your job is really just to select the right equation for this problem. For problem 1, you choose this equation and use it. Okay? Make sure you put the distance at the top. You put the time at the bottom. Okay? Or for time, you put distance at the top and speed at the bottom. That's what's important here. If anyone has any questions, you guys can call me at my desk phone number that you guys have got. Text messages get right through to me. If you call me, it leaves a voicemail. We are going to leave the Zoom chat up for a little while. And I do plan on leaving this lecture on YouTube. I'm going to put this lecture on YouTube in case anyone wants to refer back to it later, or in case you were maybe not able to make it to the call today. So thanks for playing, everybody. We'll see you here next time on The Price is Right.